It is the new year. The leaves are beginning to fall now. Let our belief that we are not able to change or heal also fall. The leaves are falling. Let our belief that if we expect nothing good, then we'll never be disappointed also fall. The leaves are falling. Let our anger from hurts long past also fall. The leaves are falling. Let the limits we set around our compassion fall away too. O love, whom we neither create nor erase, come now like autumn breezes, shake our branches too, and let all that is not life-giving to us fall away.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to First Parish Church of Groton. I'm Melissa Wood, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and I'm usually behind the camera on Sunday mornings. We are a community seeking to deepen spiritually, to take care of one another, and to be a blessing to the world. Unitarian Universalist is a faith for all. So bring all of who you are, all of your beliefs, identities, abilities, challenges, and gifts. Bring all of what you've been and all of what you've done. There is room for all of it. Our congregation includes a wide diversity of beliefs. I invite you to freely translate the language you hear today. If you are visiting us for the first time, whether here or in person or online, We are really glad you found us. If you would like more information, email us at welcome@ugroton.org. We are not concerned with kid noise and hope you won't be either. However, the service is broadcast several places downstairs if anyone needs to take a break. There are soft couches in each pew that have quiet toys in them, and we have religious education programs today, and we'll sing the kids downstairs in a little while. There's a small Mass required section in the back, parking lot side, for those who prefer to sit with other Mass people. And please know that we have a very effective air filtration system running. We are once again hosting virtual church gatherings on Zoom at 7 p.m. on Sunday evenings. All are welcome. And if you need the link, you can email us at welcome@ugroton.org. I have some special thanks today. Special thanks to Beth Sudemeyer and Libby for the flowers. They're inspired by Harvest, and they are from Flowers to Empower, which is a female youth entrepreneur program in Westford, and these were from the last UPIC day. Special thanks to Ellen Grant, who is filming this morning, and to Kirsty Gamage, who is our cantor. To Barbara Rich, who is lighting our chalice, and to Laura Warner, who greeted us. And Georgie. And Cindy Kramer and Jim Fry are ushering today. They have large print lyric sheets and assisted listening to devices. If you need anything during the services, they will be happy to help. Just a few announcements. Please join us for our Black Lives Matter Vigil today and every Sunday at 11:30 on Main Street in front of the church. Lemonade and snacks will be served outside after the service with a thanks to the Welcome Committee for hosting. We encourage you to bring nut-free snacks to share as you are able. If you have a joy or a sorrow or prayer you would like to have included in the minister's daily prayers, you can email it to prayers@ugroton.org. We have learned throughout the pandemic that our sanctuary is not this room or any place at all. Sanctuary is what we create together. Come in and rest for a while. You are so welcome here. Now, let us stand as able and take a moment to greet each other. If you would rather not shake hands, just bow or wave to greet those around you. Please take a second to wave to the camera to say hi to our virtual congregation as well.
Good morning, everybody. We're so glad you're here. am Lee Kenvey. You are my teaching congregation. I am your intern minister. My pronouns are they, them. Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish New Year, of the Jewish year, begins at sundown on Tuesday night. This time now between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is for that work of turning, of returning to ourselves, returning to right relationship with each other, and practicing letting go of what we cannot change. Hi, nurse. Yeah, I know you said mama. Hi, buddy. The three bells at the start of worship invite you to settle more fully into your body. Invite you to remind yourself, and let us remind you, that you are whole, that you belong wholly upon this earth, and that you and all of us are held in love that will not let us go, that will not let us let each other go. As you breathe in, we invite you also, if you wish, to clench your fist a little, and as you breathe out, to release it. A little gesture of opening to the blessings. The first bell, beloveds, is for you. And the second is for those you love. And the third is for this whole beautiful, aching world. If you're with us remotely this morning, we'll invite you to get a chalice or a candle and light it as we light our common chalice in the meeting house. The chalice itself, this vessel with a flame in it, is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. It was created during World War II to show resilience, to show hope, to show resistance to hatred. Barbara Rich will light our chalice this morning.
In the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we can choose to focus on empathy rather than apathy, just a few letters different. Or we could choose being aware rather than beware, another few letters different. We might put down the potatoes or the rocks that we've been carrying, choose to make amends, mend something that needs repair, could be a torn jacket or a meaningful relationship. We can choose to forgive ourselves or somebody else. And the Buddha was maybe supposed to have said, we don't forgive someone because they deserve forgiveness. We forgive someone because we deserve peace. It's hard to remember who we really are. So here's an example. It was Rosh Hashanah, and Rebecca, knocked on the bedroom door of her son Eli, and she said, Eli, it's Rosh Hashanah, you need to get up and go to the synagogue. And Eli said, I'm not going. And Rivka said, why are you going? It's Rosh Hashanah. You need to get up and go to the synagogue. And he said, Ma, I'm going to give you 2 good reasons why I'm not going. 1, they don't like me. And 2, I don't like them. And Rivka said, Eli, I'm going to give you 2 good reasons why you need to get up and go to the synagogue. 1, you're 54 years old, and 2, you're the rabbi. So I'm lighting the chalice this morning for this sweet, wild, aching new year, for us remembering who we really are, for leaning toward each other, and being the kind, compassionate, smart, creative people that we are, that we want to model for the children.
Thank you, Barbara. Every Sunday, we light a peace candle to remind us that Ukraine is still at war, as are Myanmar and Libya and Syria and other places in our world. And yet we practice choosing hope. Hope born from our prayers, from our love, from our actions, from our deepest wishes. We hope to make real this world we dream might be, could be, a world where we all are free and we're all at peace. So we light our peace candle to hold that hope, that promise together. Adrian, would you like to come light it? Would Allie, would you like to come light it? Or Sam? Together? Oh, yeah. You got it. So the big long stick candle, and you stick it in the little one. Perfect. All right, please remain seated while we sing Spirit of Life, first in Spanish, then in English. Thanks to Kirsty for leading us. Positive vibes only.
Now, this.
There's another.
We are Unitarian Universalists with minds that think, hearts that love, and hands ready to help. And thank you, Rose, for the reminder of the words.
Right?
So, this story doesn't have any pictures, so that means that you get to imagine them in your mind. It's called The Story of Grudgeville. In a land very far away from here, there lived a wise elder. And they were wise because they'd spent many years traveling from place to place and meeting a lot of people and feeling lots of feelings and thinking a lot about why people do the things that they do. Do you ever think about that? Why do people do the things they do? One day, the wise elder traveled to a small village on the side of a tall mountain where they'd never been before, and the first thing they noticed was that all of the people in this village were carrying what seemed to be giant bundles on their backs, even the kids.
The bundles were all different kinds. Some had loads of sticks and logs on their back. Others had lumpy loads wrapped in old blankets, tied up with rope. Some of them had big backpacks that looked so heavy that you're thinking, oh, those are full of rocks. One person had what was clearly a wheelbarrow, a whole wheelbarrow strapped to their back. In fact, all the loads looked so heavy that the people were like bent all the way over, and they couldn't even look around very well. Oh, and they couldn't look up at all, right? You can picture it, right? Ugh. And it seemed like everybody was just going about life and grocery shopping and hanging out laundry and even playing on the playground with these giant loads on their backs. And they're almost always looking down, which seemed to make things hard when they looked up because they would get disoriented, and when you're looking down, you bump into things with your head. Oh, man, what a way to live.
Have you ever seen anything like this before? Well, the wise elder hadn't either, and they were surprised and confused. They watched and they looked for a while and they couldn't figure it out. Now then a child came walking along, slowly, mind you, because of the big load of what looked like several full big green trash bags on his back. And the elder said to the boy,
I'm a stranger here, so like maybe you could help. What are all those bundles people are carrying around on their backs? What are you doing with all this stuff? Are you like building something together?
oh, said the boy, matter-of-factly, these are our grudges. We never put them down. Now, who knows, does anyone know what a grudge is? Yes, my wife. Such a great answer. Something bad you hold on to.
Wow, said the elder, looking at the giant trash bags. That is a lot of grudges to collect at your age. Oh, they're not all mine, said the boy. Most of them are handed down to me from my parents, and my grandparents, and my great-grandparents. Boy, and probably even further than that.
The boy pointed to a grown-up walking down the street who was carrying a big stack of bricks on their back, and every time they took a couple of steps down the road, the bricks teetered and tottered, and one or two fell off, and the grown-up had to stop and pick them up and start all over again. And the boy said, see that person with the bricks? A bunch of my grudges are against their family. Their great-great-grandfather called my great-great-grandfather some really bad names when they both wanted to be elected mayor of the village, and that was more than 100 years ago. The wise elder looked around again and noticed that everyone seemed kind of miserable. Have you ever tried to get rid of these grudges?
We don't know how, the boy said. We don't know how. My grandmother told me when it first happened, everyone was proud of their grudges. But when the bundles appeared on people's backs, visitors came from miles around because no one had ever seen anything like this before. But after not very long, everyone was tired and sad. And they were bent over all the time and their backs hurt and they carried so much. So actually nobody wanted to come visit us anymore and they stopped coming and our backs hurt all the time and we don't know how to stop it.
Well, said the wise elder, if you really want to get rid of the grudges, I think I know some magic words that will do the trick.
You do? The boy said hopefully. I'll go get the mare. Right here. He staggered off as fast as he possibly could, which was not very fast. And pretty soon the boy was back, pulling the mare along with him. The mare, by the way, had what looked like a large chicken coop strapped to her back. The mare and the boy were followed by a crowd of villagers of all ages, carrying, of course, grudges of all kinds, and hurrying as fast as they could with their giant loads. The mayor and the elder whispered together for a few moments. And then the mayor, with lots of help from the people standing near her, climbed onto a large tree stump nearby, balancing the chicken coop so it wouldn't fall over, to make a speech, which she liked doing.
Good people of Grudgeville, the mayor began. This kind stranger knows magic words to help us get rid of our horrible grudges. But immediately, the villagers started grumbling and muttering. Someone who had a washing machine on their back called out, "Oh, come on. We've already tried everything. Dynamite didn't even get this washing machine to budge an inch. How could words do it?" "Please," said the mayor, "we're all so unhappy. Let's just listen to what the elder has to say." As the people slowly stopped grumbling and quieted down, the wise elder joined the mayor on the tree stump and told the people. The magic words are just 8 simple words, but I have to warn you that people find them very, very hard to say. The trick to the magic words is that you have to say the first 5 words to each other, and the last 3 words to yourself, and you have to mean them, even though it's hard. So here are the first 2 words. Are you ready? I'm sorry. Can you say that just for practice, everybody? I'm sorry. The villagers all said it together with the mayor. That's wonderful, said the wise elder. Now say them to each other, slowly, quietly at first, and then louder. And everyone did. And when they had all said, I'm sorry, to each other, they gathered back around the stump, and the wise elder told them. Now, the next 3 words might be even harder. The next 3 words are, I forgive you. I forgive you. This time the villagers didn't even need to be told to practice. They just turned to each other and they started saying, I forgive you. I forgive you, to all the people around them. And when they were done, they gathered back around the stump, so ready to hear the last 3 words. The last 3 words might be the hardest of all, said the elder. These are the ones you have to say to yourself. And you can whisper them or yell them, but say them over and over until you really feel them. And the last 3 words are let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go, said the villagers over and over, whispering it and yelling it, and some were even singing it until you could hear the echo of the words, let it go, all up and down the side of the tall mountain.
And would you believe it? As soon as the last echo of the words, let it go, faded away, the grudges disappeared, just like that. It was a moment of completely stunned, surprised silence. And then people began to stand up straight, and they started stretching, and they felt their backs with their hands just to keep checking that nothing was actually there. They felt so light, and they felt so different, and they could dance, and they could look around, and totally joy broke out. And the kids started jumping up and down and running around because they could. And everyone was laughing, and the grown-ups were walking around and hugging and looking at each other's faces and saying things like, is that you? Is that you? They'd only known each other's shoes. Everyone was pointing and saying, oh my God, those tall trees. Holy moly, look how they've grown. And no one had seen anything as beautiful as that sky that day.
There was dancing in Grudgeville. And it wasn't long before the villagers decided they needed to change the name of their town from Grudgeville to something else. What do you think they should call it? Danceville. Do you have any other ideas? What should they call their town now? What do you think, Zoe? Joyville. We're going to call it Joy Danceville, or Dance of Joyville. And the wise elder decided they liked it so much there in Dance of Joyville that they settled right down and stayed. The end. That's a good one, huh? Okay, so will you go back to your grown-ups now, because we are going to light our candles.
Oh
Kirsty is going to lead our song prayer this morning, which is Rewild My Soul. We did it last week for the first time, and we're doing it again so we learn it better. The words are in your order of service. They're also on this white sheet. We're doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 6. The releasing of the congregation from the vows that they'll make in the year to come. That may sound counterintuitive, but the practice came out of the times when Jews were forced to convert to Christianity, especially in Spain in the late Middle Ages. So this statement was a way to undo the forced conversions, the false promises that were made, the false vows that were not vows of the heart. Mark Bellatini has written several contemporary versions of the Kol Nidre, and he focuses on the ways we still make false promises, sometimes without knowing so, and how each year we're invited to let them go. Let's set it all down, you and me. The disappointments, little and large, the frustrations. Let's open our fists and drop them. The obsession with what we cannot have, the focus on foolish things, the pinwheeling worry that wears us out. Let's throw them down. The comparisons of ourselves with others, the competition as if domination was the best name we could give to God. The self-doubt, the preemptive self-hatred, the numbing bouts of self-pity, let's sink them like stones in the pool of this gift of silence. Let's drop them like hot rocks into the cool silence. And when they're gone, let's lay back gently and float on the calm surface of the silence. Let's be supported by this still cradle of the world, newborn, ready for anything. Together. We extend our congregational prayers this morning to Christina, that she may gain strength and gather love and peace again. To the Lombardi family at the death of Sal. For Dara, Douglas, and Elle as they cope with the recurrence of Dara's cancer. For Morningstar on the death of her beloved wife, Karen, and Karen's mother, Vico. And for Jerry as she heals from foot surgery. May we hold them and ourselves and each other. And may we practice dropping our grudges, sinking our focus on foolish things. Release and let them sink like stones in the pool of this gift of silence together.
Our generosity sustains this congregation and allows us to deepen spiritually, take care of one another, and be a blessing to this world. We couldn't do it without all of us. The morning offering will now be given and gratefully received.
The amazing American poet Lucille Clifton writes, "The leaves believe, such letting go is love. Such love is faith. Such faith is grace. Such grace is God." I agree with the leaves. Well, I agree with Lucille Clifton, and still I am a card-carrying citizen of Grudgeville. Can we talk about the ways that we are card-carrying citizens of Grudgeville? Now, I'll say right up front that I am not a person who tends to hold on to grudges about other people. Now, this is not due to any strength of character on my part. It is because I can't remember them. Alan's the same way. We don't fight often, but when we do, we almost never revisit the argument because by the next day, neither one of us remembers why we were mad. People sometimes apologize to me for something they accidentally said or did that they think must have hurt my feelings, and I have no idea what they're talking about. I tend not to take things personally, and so I don't actually get my feelings hurt very often. It's just the way I am. For me, it is the grudges that I hold against myself that I struggle the most to put down. Those are the bird cages and spare car parts strapped to my back. My wide awake at 3 a.m. thoughts, which are never good, are about the ways I feel I have failed, usually by not doing enough. The words I said that landed badly, or the words left unsaid, the visits unmade, the long to-do lists of things that matter because they have other people's feelings and needs on the other end of them. My mind at 3 a.m. is a jury of recrimination with a touch of cross-examination thrown in. Did I give my children a strong enough foundation? Did I go to too many meetings while they were growing up? What harm have I done to them that I never meant to do? Do I preach enough theology to you? Do I go to enough meetings? What harm have I done here that I never meant to do? It is all what Mark Bellatini calls that pin-wheeling worry which wears us out. The fretting, the self-doubt, the preemptive self-hatred. His advice for this is truly excellent. Let them all sink like stones, he says. Like stones in the pool of this gift of silence, let's drop them like hot rocks in the cool silence. But how? How do we do it? How do we let them go? Sometimes, often, I suspect, saying those 8 hard words and meaning them, I'm sorry, I forgive you, let it go. It doesn't work like magic. Though for sure it is a good place to start. The hurt and the worry and regret linger. Now, some of you will remember that 2 years ago, I asked you to carry potatoes around for the week between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Now, my hope was that if we carried the potatoes around for a week, we would become more aware, more conscious of what we carry that we don't need to carry anymore. I hoped that if we could feel the weight of those burdens, if we could feel the annoyance and weariness of actually lugging potatoes around for a week, it would help us to put them down. No, I didn't make this up, of course. I heard a story about it, and I told you that story for years until I decided we should just go ahead and do it instead of talking about it and see if it actually helped. And I think it did help, but not in the way that I expected, though it has taken me a couple of years to figure that out. Now, the stories that came rolling in during that week of carrying potatoes were great, of course. I don't remember them all now, but I do remember that someone got sick of the experiment a few days in and cooked the potatoes for dinner. I also remember who it was, but I am not telling. I remember that someone left their bag of potatoes in a bathroom stall at a highway rest stop and actually sped back to rescue them, praying that the cleaners had not yet come, while also laughing about both the sheer weirdness of going back for a bag of old potatoes and imagining what the people who used the stall after them must have thought. I left my bag of potatoes on the Dunkin' Donuts counter, of course, which was embarrassing because there's no subtle way to casually slink back in and pick them up. So I just did it boldly, like everyone carries a clear plastic bag of 8 potatoes around. One person, I also remember who, told the story of a coworker standing nearby and sniffing the air in bewilderment, asking, "Why do I smell potato?" So the church member pulled out her big lumpy potato from her purse and tried to explain while the coworker howled with laughter. But here was the thing that surprised me. Over the course of the week, a lot of people became attached to their potatoes. Now, the person who ate them notwithstanding. But it seemed that most people started to feel a kind of affection for the potatoes as the week went on, which is not at all what I expected. At church meetings that week, we pulled out our potatoes and we made room for them at the table, and we compared notes on them like the parents of infants. Well, how's yours doing? Where are yours sleeping? Did you wash them? Someone told me how he strapped his bag of potatoes into the passenger seat of his truck and talked to them all week, as if they were an old friend, he said. Someone else reported that the bag of potatoes was actually sleeping in the bed with him and his spouse. It is comforting, he reported. It's like having a small, very well-behaved dog in the bed. And several people confessed that they didn't throw their potatoes away at the end of the week. They just tucked them into the potato bin at home or set them on the kitchen windowsill. These potatoes represented our grudges. They were our hurts. They were our unresolved sorrows. They were symbolic of the ways that we had not forgiven, that we had not extended forgiveness to ourselves and to others. These potatoes were our burdens, but not one person said they hated their potatoes. This was the surprise, but I didn't get it at the time. And I think there is an answer here. What if we could, if not love, at least accept our potatoes and even be a little bit kind to them? What if we held our grudges and our hurts and our resentments, including the ones we hold against ourselves, which are so often the most bitter of all? What if we held them with even a little bit of gentleness? What if we tried to, if not welcome them in, at least make a little more room for them? Show them just the tiniest bit of hospitality. Oh, there's that old friend, self-doubt, we could say. I see you are visiting again, jealousy, and the memories of the person who hurt me so badly and then died without making amends. Do you need a warmer blanket? Regret and self-recrimination, there's room for you right here on the couch. Could I get you some snacks? Is it possible that if we stopped hating and fighting these parts of ourselves, if we stopped holding the door closed against them, that they wouldn't have to work so hard or be so loud or take up so much space? Maybe letting go is paradoxically about acceptance. Accepting all of who we are, all of what has been that cannot possibly be changed. Accepting that other people and their feelings and behaviors and choices and futures, including those of our children and our parents, are not ours to control. Maybe acceptance is what makes more space inside of ourselves for what actually is. Maybe acceptance allows us to let go, so our hands will be empty to hold whatever comes. And maybe, and I pray this is true, acceptance also leads to more mercy, which I believe most of us yearn for so deeply. Mercy for those who have hurt us, and also mercy for ourselves. Mercy which allows us to forgive ourselves for what we are not and what we cannot do. Mercy which is what helps us to understand and to truly believe that we are not defined by the mistakes and regrets and pains that keep us up at 3 a.m. And knowing that is what somehow miraculously really makes it possible to change, to be and do something different. Rabbi Rachel Barron Black puts it this way. She says, our souls yearn to expand, to live into the fullness of all of who we can become. And Yom Kippur is here to help set us free. And still you might be wondering how. How do I do it? Well, I have an answer. Just recently, a friend gave me the best ritual for how they let go. They've actually been doing this for years, and they assured me this method actually does work. And because this is a personal and sacred ritual they entrusted me with, I made sure I had their permission to tell them about it. It is called putting it in the freezer. This is how it works. First, and most importantly, you can't skip the first 5 magic words. That's the bad news, friends. You have to try to do the work of I'm sorry and I forgive you as best as you can do it right now. This ritual is only for the letting go part after you have tried the I'm sorry and I forgive you to the best of your ability at this time, and then it is still not working and you don't feel better yet. So then it's time to put them in the freezer. And by them, I don't mean the actual people. I mean the grudge, the hurt, the thing you cannot control or change, the grinding need for someone to be different or better than they are, including yourself. Now, the way my friend does this is to write a letter. It could be a letter to the person, but it's not one that you will ever send. Or it could be a letter to yourself, or a letter to a beloved ancestor who would understand. It could be a letter to the God of your understanding. It could be a letter to the freezer itself. But you write it all down. The story, the sorrow, the misunderstanding, the hurt, the frustrating, horrible truth that people, including ourselves, don't change fast enough for our timelines or in the ways we want them to. And then you put the letter in the freezer. Now, where in the freezer is up to you, of course, though my friend suggests put it under the ice trays where no one will find it accidentally. And then you just leave it in there. Don't revisit it. When it comes to your heart at night with that familiar ache, you tell yourself, it's in the freezer now. I'm leaving that in the freezer. Now, I might add a couple of small steps to the end of the ritual. First, I recommend that you make yourself a cup of tea and you remind yourself that you did a really hard thing. And second, that you tell someone about it, as my friend did. Tell someone who will both laugh with you about how many people are going to end up in your freezer and also hold all of this with the sacredness that it deserves. 2 years ago, one of the potato carriers told me that she found those potatoes really comforting. And when I asked why that was, she said it was because she knew she was not alone, that she was carrying the potatoes with a community of kindred potato carriers. And so it was like we were sharing each other's burdens. We were carrying them together, and that made them feel so much lighter. And how could it be otherwise? The leaves believe such letting go is love. Such love is faith. Such faith is grace. Such grace is God. I agree with the leaves. So will you rise as you are able, and we'll sing together our closing hymn, which is I Am Willing by Holly Near. And you will find the words on the back of your order of service.
remember that we are woven together with strong and sturdy threads of love.
You go in peace to be a blessing to this world.